Hello friends, welcome to another exciting video on the Terraform series for the beginners. And today we are going to talk about another meta argument called as depends on. So in our previous videos, we have talked about count as one of the meta argument for underscore each has one of the meta arguments, life cycle has another meta argument, and if you haven't watched those videos, do watch that videos to get an idea of how these meta arguments can be used with every resource to change the resource behavior. And today we are going to talk about one an important meta argument depends on. So before we get into the depth of it, in this video I'm going to basically cover the theoretical knowledge of how depends on meta argument can be used to set the dependencies of resources. And at the end of the video, we are going to have a small demo session where I'm going to walk through the code of how you can use the depends on syntactically to get in your Terraform code. So that's what we are going to talk about in today's video. So without much further delay, let's get into the depends on meta argument. So what is this depends on meta argument? The depends on meta argument in Terraform is used to specify the dependencies between resources within a Terraform configuration. So as the name suggests, right, there would be a scenario where you want to basically customize your Terraform code and make sure that a, a, a X code is first executed and then the Y portion of Terraform code gets executed. And that's where this depends on meta argument plays a very important role in explicitly defining the dependencies in Terraform. This allows Terraform to properly order the creation, modification, and the destruction of resources, ensuring that the dependent resources are created or modified only after the resources they depend on have been created or modified. So that's what I was explaining you, that there would be a situation where you want to set up a dependency on Y code of Terraform to execute only when the X code of Terraform is executed. Let's get on in when can we use the depends on meta argument in Terraform. So first one is resource timing. As I said, right, this is one of the scenario where you have a resource A and it takes time to basically create that resource or modify that resource. For an example, let's put an example of EC2 instance, right, where it takes like 1 or 2 minutes to get EC2 instance created. And once we have done that, that's where you can go ahead and create an IAM user or a role, etc. on the EC2 creation or the modification of resource is done. So that's one of the use case of resource timing, enforcing the creation order. So that's where, so let's take an example of load balancing to be only executed when the auto scaling is done. So that, or you want to create an EC2 instance only when the S3 bucket has been created. So I'm basically putting an creation order that once the S3 bucket is created, then create the EC2 instance, or once the auto scaling group is set, that's where you can put a load balancing kind of thing. Workarounds. And the second use case of is workaround, where there would be a situation or a scenario where you want to basically deal with the depends on especially for destruction of the resource, or where you have modified it and you want to basically first destroy that resource and then execute a piece of Terraform code. So workaround can be one of the use resource cleanup. This is another use case where you can use depends on. So I want to basically first remove all the, for an example, I have set up an EC2 instance, I've created an IAM user role and etc. Now before even I destroy the EC2 instance, I want the IAM user to be deleted, IAM role to be deleted, and then only destroy the EC2 instance. So that's one of the use case which comes into my head when we talk about resource cleanup. So that's overall a theoretical perspective of how depends on can be explicitly used to set up the dependencies between resources, or you can set up between the modules as well. So I hope you got a theoretical understanding of this. Now let's get into a demo session in a bit. So friends, here is a piece of code where I have made the use of depends on as one of my use case. So let me have a quickly walk through about this Terraform code. So if you see first in my main.tf, I have basically defined a resource as AWS underscore S3 underscore bucket, where I'm basically creating a bucket with a name as my bucket, and the environment is dev. And once I've done that, I'm basically setting up an access control list by giving public dash read. And once that is done, I am basically creating the S3 bucket versioning, where I've put a depends on that unless these two are done, then only basically start using my versioning piece of code where I have enabled the versioning configuration thing. So that's how I have used the depends on meta argument. Let's just get the Terraform plan executed and Terraform validate to see whether whether we have our syntax correct and there are no errors. So let me initialize my Terraform by executing Terraform init. And if you see, it is getting initialized in the backend, and it says Terraform has been successfully initialized. Let me execute Terraform validate. Okay, I hope this should be a syntactically correct. If not, then we see what errors we are getting. So, oh, excellent, we got a success. So configuration file is valid. Now, let me clear the screen and execute Terraform plan. I'm not going to execute Terraform apply, but I'm just going to execute Terraform plan to see how my plan looks like. Oh, so we got our Terraform plan executed. Now let me just pull this screen up and walk you through. So if we see our Terraform plan has been executed successfully, we see a bucket of my bucket getting created where the name of the bucket is my bucket and the tag is dev environment. And if you see, we have also got our ACL thing created. And once that is done, that's where our versioning code will get executed. So that's what is one of the use case of explicitly putting a dependencies in Terraform code. I hope this gave you an idea of how to use depends on in your day-to-day Terraform code. If you think this video has really add a value of learning this meta argument, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and do not forget to hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload uh, these kind of video. We are going to about come to the end of our Terraform series, where we are just going to cover a few more sessions on Terraform workspace, and I'm going to also cover a demo session of how you can upload your local TF state file to an S3 bucket. So until then, take care. Bye bye.